Hello dear viewers of mine, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about the game Streets of Rage 4. So there's 4 of them. Why are we doing the 4th one then? Were the other 3 not very good then? Actually, on the contrary, strange voice in my head. The first 3 Streets of Rage games were very good. Along with Golden Axe, these were the games that gave me my love of scrolling beat-em-ups. The first 3 you see, said he, under a cherry tree, lamenting old me, or whimsically, were released several decades ago, in the before times, when I was but a weean. The series as a whole deserves its own video, along with Golden Axe. You're just going to keep saying that, aren't you, without ever actually making one? You lazy dwarf! Well, I am not lazy, but great works such as those will require good time and care to do justice. At some point in the future, my thoughts on those series and the genre in general will be detailed with all the love and care they deserve. Just briefly lo and behold, he said to Gary. In case you wish to have a little background knowledge of the series, I will summarise quickly now. Streets of Rage 1, 2 and 3 were all released on the Sega Mega Drive, the Genesis for those of you in the US, in 1991, 1992 and 1995 respectively. In Japan, the game series is known as Bare Knuckle. They are, of course, scrolling beat-em-up games, where the gameplay features player sprites moving across the screen, nearly always from left to right, while punching, kicking and suplexing all the bad guys as they go. I would say if you're going to play any of the 3, Streets of Rage 2 would be my recommendation. As well as solid gameplay, these games were known for their iconic music. Throughout the years, I have wondered and hoped that someday, along with other games, another Streets of Rage may grace us with its presence. Well, several decades later, we now have it, and I must say it was worth the wait. Streets of Rage 4 was released on the 30th of April 2020 for PC and consoles. It was developed by Lizard Cube, Guard Crush Games and .emu, while being published by .emu. Streets of Rage 4 has a wonderful start menu with lots and lots of things to look at. The story, where you can play the story. Stage select, you can select the stage. Do an arcade run, a boss rush, the survival mode, of course, training, battle. You can join other people online, get some tips on how to fight, extras, options such as inputs and everything else. And at last, of course, you can exit. I think perhaps we should start by talking about the graphics. Unlike the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles release, video in the description, the art style is not 16-bit style pixel art, but rather a hand-drawn, slightly cartoonish kind of style. If anything about this game I might talk about in something resembling a negative manner, it would be that I would have preferred a pixel art style. I say this purely as my own preference, the game is still wonderful. Said art style is flashy and full of colour, with various heroes' moves and movement well animated and full of flavour. The baddies look good, with several old classic bad guys returning from previous games, such as the Blooming Knife Dude. Damn you, Knife Dude! It's all animated wonderfully, with bright bursts of colour and visual feedback, which works well with the sound design. It should be noted that although the main game has a specific art style, there are numerous opportunities throughout the game modes and through unlockables to experience that classic pixel art style. The music, as alluded to, trains on that same vibe as the original games. It has that house dance feeling to it, with some thumping tunes that accompany all the craziness going on the screen. It is important that both the backing tracks and the individual sound effects were top-notch, and they certainly are. Playing a scrolling beat-em-up with substandard audio responses from smacking up evildoers and a poor soundtrack not lifting you to greatness would be a terrible crime indeed. The story of the game series is focused on a ragtag bunch of heroes on their crusade to take down the Evil X and his syndicate. In this 4th rendition of the series, we now have his offspring, the Y-Twins, to contend with. Much like their father, they are attempting to take over the city, and it is down to our heroes to once again free it from evil's grasp. The player can initially select from 4 different characters: Axel Stone and Blaze Fielding, both former cops who featured in all 3 previous games, Adam Hunter, Special Forces agent who featured in Streets of Rage 1, along with 2 new characters, Floyd, who has a robotic arms and worked under Dr. Zan, a character from the 3rd game, and lastly Cherry Hunter, Adam's daughter, who comes with her guitar in order to smack up those up to no good. With the Mr. X DLC, there are 3 new characters to choose from. Estelle Aguirre, a Special Forces agent, Shiva, who was mostly an antagonist in the series, now making amends for his sins, and lastly Max, my favourite character, who featured in Streets of Rage 2. But where is Skate? Yes indeed, I'm not sure. As of this video, there's currently no option to select a Streets of Rage 4ified version of Skate. But as you play the game, you will unlock the classic pixel art versions of the characters from previous games. They feature as was back then, should you really want to play as the old sprites. I know there are a few other characters such as the kangaroo, but Skate is the character I would love to see, as he is pretty iconic to me and my group of friends. If they release any more DLC for the game, I hope he's included. The general gameplay for the main mode involves traversing levels, beating up bad guys and taking out the boss at the end of each. Each of the playable characters have basic combos they can perform simply by spamming the attack button. There is of course the classic forward punch move along with flying attacks as well. The grappling is good here too. You can both throw enemies and smack them in the grapple as you could in any of the previous games. I'm glad this is in the game. A good grapple system is a must for any scrolling beat 'em up, providing another facet to distinguish the characters from one another. There is also the power moves, which while very strong will use up some of your life force. A great new addition to the game is the ability to regain that life should you manage to combo further enemies without getting hit. Then there are the star moves, special mega attacks that do huge damage to everything on the screen. The player is limited in their use, starting a level with just 1 star, but more can be found throughout the game. The enemy variety is good, with that classic recolouring of bad guys featuring a lot. I think that adds to the nostalgia and doesn't feel too samey. The boss fights are fun and challenging but very beatable. The final boss battle against the twins is epic as you would hope. But there's no Skate! No, there is no Skate. Besides the main game mode, there are other ways to play the base game, such as the boss rush mode, arcade mode and battle mode, where the players can do battle against each other. What I would recommend though is to get the Mr. X Nightmare DLC. As well as adding the new playable characters, it adds a new survival mode. Players can take their favourite characters and enter this mode where you clear through randomly generated levels with different baddies, weapons and even art style, giving an interesting new experience each time you play. You see how far you can get before all players are defeated. At the end of each level, the players are presented with a choice of power-ups. These range from adding fire, poison or electrical damage to attacks, mega powerful weapons, to gameplay changing buffs such as being unable to use healing food, instead regaining a portion of your damage as HP. This new mode adds so much to the game. It is essentially a roguelike, where each run you get different skills and weapons and try and go as far as you can without dying. Another facet of this mode is the ability to unlock new alternative moves for all the main characters. This gives a good sense of progression as well as giving the players some choice in how they play their favourite character. As is obviously the case, I think this game is fantastic, which I'm very grateful for. There was always the worry that should they ever make another Streets of Rage game, and it might be half-hearted or full of microtransactions or something equally horrendous, but this isn't the case at all. The main game plus the Mr. X DLC is more than enough content to sate the appetite of old fans, but also new players as well. I do think that long-time players of the genre and this series will really enjoy themselves with this game, especially dear viewers if you can play with others in local co-op fashion. But I also think that people new to this series would still really enjoy a playthrough. Anyway, I am happy that the long dormant scrolling beat 'em up genre is finally getting some new life. Now can we please see Golden Axe 4? And there we are dear viewers, another video crafted in the halls of the Dwarven Hold. I hope you liked the video and check out the game if you are able. If you would like to, please like, share, subscribe and all that, then I would be very grateful. Thank you all and see you next time.